Hey, so I want to take a look at Microsoft, ticker symbol MSFT. Last time we looked at them was on June 10th. So what we're going to do is just cover the news, what's been going on with this company for about the past month and a half. Their earnings are scheduled to come out soon, so we'll get a preview of what estimates are saying, and then we'll wrap up with the technical analysis. So uh, there is quite a bit of news, so let's just jump into it and see what's going on. So starting at the top, Microsoft developer or Microsoft had a developer conference, and a couple other companies, including MongoDB and Elastic, showed up, and this was viewed as a positive thing for those companies. And Microsoft really wasn't impacted, but just some companies to throw out there to uh, possibly look into later on. But moving on, next we have Microsoft President Smith lays out plan to govern AI amid calls for caution. And so what this appears to be happening, at least this is one thought, is that these mega cap companies such as Microsoft are calling for caution revolving around AI in order to create barriers for startups in this sector. So that's just a thought. We'll see how that actually uh, develops, but it does make sense. I mean, AI is growing very rapidly. That means a lot of new things are likely to come out. At least that's kind of the theory, is because of AI, it's going to just be faster. And, well, a company like Microsoft that has a tool, and I'm sure other companies, including Apple and Tesla, probably, these companies have AI. And if if some newcomer, such as maybe that MongoDB or Elastic, if all of a sudden they create something, uh, Microsoft wants to have a barrier for them to, like, they have to meet this qualification, that qualification, and if they can do that, then they can employ it to like the world or whatever. So just a thought here, and if that is the case, that actually is better for a company like Microsoft or Google. Uh, so yeah, that's it. It sounds kind of bad, but at the same time, I think it's going to help them in the long run. Uh, Next, we have Microsoft says a Chinese state-sponsored hacker attacked critical infrastructure, and uh, if you're more familiar with this one, by all means, let me know. But the way I'm understanding it is Chinese state-sponsored hackers attacked Microsoft, and apparently because Microsoft is so like widespread, uh, it a bunch of industries were impacted. We have manufacturing, utilities, transportation, construction, maritime, government, IT, and education. All these sectors. That's what Microsoft's saying was kind of uh, breached, I suppose. Uh, haven't seen any backlash about it. This was like just a one-time thing. Uh, so maybe it wasn't too bad in terms of uh, the actual hack, but just something to be aware of. Next, we'll try to run through these pretty quick. Microsoft appeals UK decision to block Activision acquisition. So this was like a positive and negative, where the EU as a whole, they said they're going to approve this deal, but then the UK is saying, uh, no, we don't think so. Uh, I don't believe this actually evolved into anything, but it was something to question at the time. Next, we have this Microsoft dips as Bernstein says Copilot AI is going everywhere. And this Copilot AI is a new tool for Office 365. We're going to touch on that in a little bit, but this is kind of like uh, a heads up that that product could be very special for this company. Next, we have Chinese President Xi said to tell Bill Gates AI tech from US is welcome in China. So that's no surprise. I mean, I think we're both going after the same thing here. So China's just kind of letting us know, hey, we want AI technology over here too. And um, we'll just see how that plays out. Again, it's going to be two giant countries here working towards uh, just better technology and possibly sharing resources. Next, we have Microsoft and Mercedes are to test in-car chat GPT. Looking forward to see how that plays out. I can't imagine that being too large of a boost in revenue or anything, but if that catches on, there is potential there. Next, we have the U.S. judge temporarily blocked Microsoft from completing Activision deal. So apparently, we have in this little snippet here on the right, top right, that a federal judge in San Francisco granted the FTC's request for a temporary restraining order to block that Microsoft from completing its purchase of Activision, and an evidentiary hearing on the preliminary injunction is scheduled for June 22nd. So basically a week delay here. Also, we noted that the agreement with Activision is due to expire, which may lead to a renegotiation and changes in the price. We'll see. Next, we have Microsoft and Activision asked the judge for at least 5-day hearing in that FTC suit to block the deal, which seems modest. Microsoft also is boosting prices on Game Pass subscriptions for the Series X console. Shouldn't be too much difference, but a boost in price means more revenue. Here we have FTC hearing to block Microsoft acquisition of Activision concludes. So they had that meeting or, that hearing. So this week, not much happened, but that ended. So a result should come soon. Here, again, not too much, but Microsoft could see $3 trillion valuation based on this AI and the push towards it. Which is saying something. There's only a handful of trillion-dollar companies, and let alone to hit $3 trillion. Right around the middle of the month, so actually just like 2 weeks ago, Activision jumps as court allows Microsoft's $69 billion acquisition to go forward. So very good. And also the judge denied FTC's request to temporarily block that. So very good. Also, during that week, Microsoft announced that they are most likely going to lay off sales and customer support staff as the new fiscal year begins. I have to imagine that's just due to a bunch of overlap between Activision and Microsoft. The combination, they are forecasting they're not going to need that many people to, keep the business running effectively. So that's, I wouldn't say that's too surprising. It makes sense. But of course, the headline catches your attention. Here we go. So this week, Microsoft hit an all-time high after unveiling pricing for the AI tool Copilot. We mentioned that towards the beginning. So this, again, it's going to be a Office 365 add-on feature, and it's going to cost about $30 per user per month. Depending on the budget, that seems reasonable, basically $1 a day. But yeah, its intended purpose is to just help speed up routine activities or just speed up functionality between what the user wants to add to the software. We'll, of course, see how this actually plays out in terms of revenue. The fact that it just came out, it's obviously not going to be in this quarter's financial statements, but maybe the quarter after and definitely the one after that, we should see some sort of hint that this actually is making a difference. Next, we have Microsoft said to deliver improved combat goggles by the end of the month. So back in 2021, they signed a deal with the Army for $21 billion. That's something, to provide HoloLens technology for 120,000 headsets. And again, that's for the Army. So they're set to, I suppose, deliver on that contract. Not sure if they're actually delivering all of it at once or if this is just like one step at a time, but looks like that deal is kind of coming to an end, so maybe another deal will happen. Here we have Microsoft, Activision are extending the deal deadline until October 18th. And also, FTC said to pause trial over that merger. So clearly they couldn't block it, so now they're trying to pause it. Not sure if that will actually occur. But either way, it seems like it's kind of in the past. Of course, we'll continue to follow it, but Microsoft and Activision, they're extending that deal. We kind of hinted at that earlier. I have to imagine this is just they were reaching the deadline for that deal, and they must have just passed it. So they extended that deadline to see if they want to renegotiate anything, because clearly a lot has changed since when they originally set up the deal till today. So, we might see a couple changes in there in terms of price, or if anything does change, we'll of course check it out. And then one more thing before we look at like a preview of what their next quarter's earnings could look like. We have Microsoft is in a pact to keep Call of Duty on Sony's PlayStation. So that's been like the big headline of Activision. They own Call of Duty, which is a very popular game. And if Microsoft were to buy them, they would have like a monopoly on that game. But it sounds like they're working something out with Sony's PlayStation to allow it on both platforms. So good, and probably for others, but Sony's like the main one. And so here we have just a brief setup of what we can kind of expect to see for quarter four earnings. The estimates are saying revenues are going to be around 55 billion, indicating about 6 to 7% growth compared to last year. We also have the earnings are projected to be at $2.55 per share, which is about 14 to 15% growth, so very good. Revenue's going up slightly, but they're able to pull more down to the income statement for the shareholders, so they're making good progress. And then the last one is, I just wanted to note how these estimates from this equity research, Zacks equity research, apparently based on their estimates here, Microsoft's beaten them 3 out of the past 4 times, but also that the surprise has been a very small margin. So the numbers we're looking at here should most likely be in line with what we actually see come early next week whenever they report. So this might be, maybe up to 56, probably not that high, but, just a decimal point off here or there. But of course, we'll see how it plays out. So let me just pull up the technical analysis here. Maybe it'll be best if I just start with our tracker here. So last time we looked at that was June 10th. At that point, it was trading at $326. We had a buy point noted at 281. We'll see if that changes at all, with resistance at 302 and 344. Again, we'll see if that changes. We also noticed a short-term uptrend that started back in January of this year, and that we would want to buy the dips on this. So just zooming in, it looks like right away that uptrend is still intact, so we can keep that. And just to buy the dips, yeah, that still seems like that is the right call. Going back to June 10th, let's zoom in a little bit. June 10th was right here roughly at 326, so that's right at the bottom of this red candle. Since then, it's just kind of gradually ticked up, and here we are. We actually hit all-time highs. So that was that black line we put in there. That was previously, like when we started following this, that was the previous all-time highs. We've now exceeded it. It looks like it's kind of hesitating there, which is expected. I would expect it to, really when I look at this, it's been testing that since mid-June. Really since the last time we looked at this, it's tried to reach all-time highs. It's finally done it. And that's kind of as expected. This uptrend is that strong. It almost set up perfectly. it crossed the line a couple times, but I mean, that's almost spot on to what we were projecting. So that still seems like it's in effect. The all-time high. Now that we're reaching all-time highs, if I were to guess, like, I mean, this is really the only support we have all the way back here at 281. So at this point, we can just mark this as a green point. Any other support? I mean, this might be support for this company. So I'm going to add in a thin green line here, only because recently, I mean, that seemed to be support. Once it crossed over, it dipped, came right back up the very next week, and then for pretty much a full month, it just hung out in that range of like 333. So for me at this point, if I was going to, and maybe one other thing before I ask the question of what's a good buy point, I'm just going to extend this out a little bit, give us another couple months of projection, and this might break before then, but we'll just keep this in, and that's, so that just gives us a little more time, because theoretically what we would imagine is come the end of the third quarter, which in this case is like September 30th, we would expect it to be right in this range somewhere. So let's make that gray, make it a little thicker. So we would expect it to come in this range. Right now, the way it's acting, that still seems to be the case. If anything, we would probably drag this up just a little bit to show that it's probably going to be on the upper half. That just seems very far away still, but that's the trend, and that seems very logical. I mean, they're coming out with new products that should impact them in a positive way. Not much negative behind Microsoft at this time. So as long as they can meet the expectations, which I do expect them to, this one should carry on higher. No reason for it not to. Looking at, so again, it went from 326, now it's currently at 343. Buy points for this one, as I noted, 333 is a point of interest at this time, just because, again, it looks like it's bouncing on that line. For a month, it did that. Again, it's not much to go off of, but it's enough for me to, it's enough for me at this time. Buy points beyond that. If we wanted to get the bottom of this uptrend, we have 327 here. Just projecting about like a month out. That'd be about 342. So in this case, I'll just say 333. I'll keep that. And I guess we can add it in. 342. 333 might be my magic number though. And then we also had in 281. 281, that's that green line back here. Yeah, we'll keep it in. But we're getting to the point where that's so far away, it's just like, we're not really watching it like we did previously. In terms of resistance, we had 302, which actually was 303. It just blew right through that. Then we had 344, which is the black line, the all-time highs. Let me add this back on. Here we are. It's just going through it. That uptrend is intact. Because we're in new territory, there's just no telling when it would stop, in all honesty. If we get a pullback, that could be like a very good opportunity to pick some up before it like shoots off. But right now it's still within that trend range, so we'll just keep following it. Resistance, so again, we had that red line and the black line. Because we're through both of those, I'll still leave the 343 or 343. We can still leave that. I'm going to remove the 302. And then considering the current uptrend, right now the top of the range is 356. If we just scale that out about a month, then it's like 370. So 370 is kind of a point for me. Resistance, again, 343. That's still the number to watch because it's so close. It could pull back, but it doesn't look like it's going to pull back very far. So this one, honestly, it's I'm going to give it a fair rating. I don't think it's not catching my attention in terms of, oh yeah, I got to buy it. It's also not, I'm not too worried about it. It just looks like it's right in the middle. Considering that uptrend, it's really right in the middle. We did see some support at 333, not too far off of where it is today. So fair seems to be a good rating. And yeah, we'll see how earnings do. But this is just so this is just a quick recap here. So Microsoft, we changed that to a blue rating, so I feel like it's fair value today. I wouldn't be upset if I got it at this price, but I wouldn't be super excited about it either. It's just like, it's okay, it's a good deal. Still have buy points marked at all the way down to 281. There was fairly good support there, so I'm keeping that point. 333, they're starting to see some support there, so that's kind of my point right now. And then 342 would still be at the bottom of that upward trend range, just going out by about a month. So we're definitely like there. If it pulled back into like the 330s, yeah, that'd probably be a great time to pick it up. And then we notice resistance still at 343. That's kind of the hesitation right now. Is it going to pull back? Is it going to continue to be rejected at that point? I don't believe so. But for right now, that is a point of interest. And 370, that again would be the top of that uptrend channel, forecasting out a couple weeks, roughly about a month. So we'll see how this kind of evolves, but that's how I'm seeing it. And then the note that we're leaving for ourselves is that short-term uptrend since January, that's still in play, and we're going to just buy the dips on this. It seems like a great buy. But that wraps this up. So if you have any questions, by all means, feel free to let me know. Or if you just want to add some insight of your own, I'd be happy to read that. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.